Up to this point, I've been meticulously cautious in my programming, attempting to remain as nonpartisan as possible when choosing the subject matter for On the Brink. However, the headlines of the past several weeks have left me increasingly concerned about the direction in which our nation appears to be heading. So today, I'd like to just simply cut to the chase. Coming to you from the MAB Podcast Network, this is On the Brink with Michael Allen Brown. Good morning, and welcome to another episode of On the Brink. Folks, I believe we are witnessing in real time the growth of a political movement that is seeking to fundamentally transform the system of government that has guided our constitutional republic for the past 250 years. To be very honest, the enemy is not at the gate. The enemy is in the gate. In my view, there are organizations and activists who are openly advocating replacing many of America's founding principles with a far different vision for the nation. Whether one agrees with that vision or not, I believe it deserves careful examination rather than simple indifference. This is not a time to sit idly by and hope someone else will preserve the liberties we have inherited. This is a time for every citizen to become informed, to speak out respectfully but courageously, and to participate in civic process with conviction and purpose. I could devote this entire episode to discussing proposals advanced by the organizations that identify themselves as democratic socialist. Many of their stated objectives are publicly available for anyone to read and evaluate for themselves online. But before discussing where we may be headed, we should first ask a more important question. How exactly did we arrive at this point? In my opinion, the seeds were planted decades ago. We gradually reduced the emphasis on teaching American history and civics in our classrooms. We witnessed growing debates over the role of the Pledge of Allegiance in our schools. We removed organized prayer from public education. Essentially, we kicked God out. Whether one believes those developments were beneficial or harmful, I believe they marked a significant cultural turning point. Over time, I believe these changes contributed to a gradual erosion of patriotism, civic understanding, personal responsibility, and respect for the institutions upon which our republic depends and flourishes. And when those foundations begin to weaken, a nation can find itself standing on the brink. Today we're going to examine not personalities, not political campaigns, but ideas. Because ideas have consequences, and history has repeatedly shown that nations rise or fall according to the ideas they embrace. Many of you who have been following me from the beginning of On The Brink may remember an earlier episode based upon my pamphlet, A Republic, If You Can Keep It, an apologetic for the American constitutional order. When I wrote those words, I wasn't attempting to predict the future. I was attempting to remind us of something our founders already knew. A constitutional republic is never guaranteed. It survives only as long as its citizens understand it, respect it, and are willing to defend it. Benjamin Franklin was asked as he emerged from Independence Hall in 1787, "Well, doctor, what have we got? A republic or a monarchy?" His famous reply has echoed across nearly 2.5 centuries when he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." Notice he didn't say Congress can keep it. He didn't say if the president can keep it. He didn't even say if the Supreme Court can keep it. He said, if you can keep it. That responsibility belongs to every generation. Our founders understood something many Americans have forgotten. Freedom is never self-sustaining. It requires citizens who understand the Constitution, who understand why power was divided, why rights were protected, why government was restrained, and why liberty must always be accompanied by responsibility. When civic education begins to disappear, when history becomes an afterthought, when citizens no longer understand the framework that protects their liberty, the republic becomes increasingly vulnerable. Someone's ideas will fill that vacuum. If we do not teach our children why America was founded as a constitutional republic, someone else will gladly teach them why it should become something else. That is why I believe our greatest battle today is not merely political. It is educational. It is cultural. It is moral. It is a battle over ideas. Ideas determine convictions. Convictions shape character. Character influences culture. And culture ultimately determines the destiny of a nation. That is why I've often said that the classroom may very well become tomorrow's battlefield. Not with rifles, but with ideas. The Constitution cannot defend itself. The Declaration of Independence cannot defend itself. They require citizens who understand them. And perhaps that is where each of us should begin. Before we attempt to change Washington, we should teach our children. Read the Declaration of Independence together. Read the Constitution together. Visit historic battlefields. Visit the Lincoln Memorial. Visit Independence Hall. Tell the stories of Lexington, Concord, Valley Forge, Gettysburg, Normandy, and all those ordinary Americans who accomplished extraordinary things because they believed liberty was worth preserving. My friends, every generation is handed a republic. But the question has never changed. Will we leave it stronger than we found it, or weaker? That question belongs to us. Not someday, today. One of President Ronald Reagan's most enduring quotations is as follows: "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them to do the same. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States, where men were free. Ronald Reagan spoke those words on October the 27th, 1964, during his nationally televised speech, A Time for Choosing, delivered in support of Barry Goldwater's presidential campaign. My friends, at this very hour, we stand at another consequential time for choosing. Benjamin Franklin gave us the responsibility. A republic, if you can keep it. Ronald Reagan reminded us that each generation must fulfill it. My message to you is this: we must now decide whether we will do the same. Until the next time, this is Michael Allen Brown, and this has been On the Brink.